Howdy, howdy, everybody. It's your friendly neighborhood Grounshark, aka Mr. Shark, aka Big Shark, not the little one, aka I know Baby Shark, I fucking main shark, and welcome to the Grounshark Show. Today we're going to be talking about UFC 325 to start off with. I'll start with the good stuff, talk about the main event. Skipping all the formalities and getting straight to the good stuff, Alex Volkanovski defeats Diego Lopez in the main event by a unanimous decision. A workmanlike performance from Alexander Volkanovski, doing what he does best and simply out-moving and outspacing his opponent. Diego Lopez comes from a gym with notorious spacing issues and footwork problems, having a noted history of trouble cutting off the cage. It seems baffling to me that no one saw fit to address this situation in his camp, but these are the things that happen. Had a phenomenal fight given that condition, but it was always going to end up like this. Volkanovski's just too elite, his movement's too good, and if you can't handle it, you're going to lose very handily. In the lightweight co-main event, Dan Hooker faces off against Benoit Saint-Denis, and in this contest, Benoit gets it done via TKO in round 2. Dan Hooker was putting on a classic Dan Hooker performance, moving well, landing shots, and looking altogether very composed. And Benoit, in what I can only describe as a Drickus-esque performance, stumbles over Dan Hooker and got it done. Got on top of him and finished him in what can only be described as Looney Tunes fashion. Preceding that fight, we had Rafael Fiziev facing off against Mauricio Rufy. Rufy gets it done in the second round at about 4 minutes and 30 seconds via TKO. Rafael Fiziev looked to be performing rather well until he wasn't. He just simply couldn't put together long, extended combinations to make Rufy pay for spacing mistakes, and it allowed Rufy to get his timing well enough to land the big shot and start the beginning of the end for Rafael. Tough break for Rafael, but it seems like it's all up for Mauricio from here. Probably a top 5 matchup to be guaranteed after this. In tragic news, before this, we had a heavyweight fight. Tai Tuivasa versus Talison Teixeira. Even worse, it was a heavyweight fight that went to decision. I'm sorry for anyone who had to watch this. I'm pretty sure if you go and contact the UFC's official website, you can make a request for compensation for damages incurred for having seen this fight. Tai showed moments of capacity to win this fight that were quickly preceded by being tired as all get out. The only thing making this worse is Talison Teixeira was equally as tired. So we just had extended periods of two big guys, hands on thighs, staring at each other. I don't know what everyone comes to fighting for, but I know it ain't that. Let's pray that we can acquire some more good heavyweights so that we don't have to watch this, because this should not be a top 15 fight in any division. Before that, we had Quinlan Salkild fighting Jamie Malarkey. He's able to get Jamie out of there in round 2 via rear naked choke in a beautiful lightweight fight. When guys weigh 155 pounds, it's funny, they just seem to actually know how to fight. You never really see two guys staring at each other in the lightweight division or lower. And that's something to be appreciated. Let's move forward and talk about the upcoming UFC fight night, Oliveira versus Batista. Main event of this is going to be Vinicius Oliveira versus Mario Batista in a bantamweight scrap that's sure to provide actual action. Vinicius Oliveira is what I would like to describe as a chaos merchant. Not particularly overly technical in any aspect of mixed martial arts as we know it in the modern day, but capable in all of them and willing to go into all of them. Ferocious belief in himself, true knockout power at a lower weight class, and can-do attitude has gotten him this far in what's surely a contender fight. Mario Batista, on the other hand, has had the long way around. Usually after beating someone as notable as Jose Aldo, you're on the short track for a title shot, but in doing so, Mario became the most hated man in the UFC and was forced to fight Nurmagomedov and got what happens when that happens. And now he's hoping to bounce back against Vinicius, something he's very capable of doing. Vinicius is a chaos merchant, and that has shown to work out relatively well for him up to this point. But I think Mario is simply too technical and too capable to lose this fight. I'm going to go Mario Batista via decision. In what I can only describe as an act of corporal punishment, we have a flyweight matchup of Kyoji Horiguchi versus Amir Albazi. Kyoji is one of the only stars at flyweight with name value to come out from outside of the UFC. Kyoji is more notable than I would say even Kai Asakura, someone they gave an immediate title shot to upon entering the UFC. Kyoji, despite his notoriety and name value, was forced to come into the UFC, re-enter the UFC with a matchup against Tagir Ulanbekov, a 17-2 Dagestani with Nurmagomedov in his corner. Kyoji passes that test with flying colors, and what is his gift? Amir Albazi, another high-level grappler with little to no name value. It seems to be an attempt to bury Kyoji, I guess, but he has the capacity to win these fights. He has the talent and ability to beat a guy like this. And I think that's what we're more than likely to see. I'm predicting Kyoji Horiguchi by TKO round 3. Next up, I have some unfortunate news. If you're not sitting down, please do. We have a heavyweight fight. Our main card heavyweight fight is Jailton Almeida versus Rizvan Kuniev. Rizvan has been on a consistent streak as of late, and Jailton has had some ups and downs in his last few fights. But Jailton has a level of control and jiu-jitsu prowess that pretty much all heavyweights are unaccustomed to, except like 2. So I predict Jailton being able to grapple his way to a decision that's nearly unwatchable. Best of luck. Next on the card, we have a middleweight scrap between Mikhail Alexijuk and Marc-Andre Barriault. Barriault is a lunch pail and hard hat type of fighter, a guy who comes to scrap and throw hands despite a consistent vulnerability to getting knocked out. And with Mikhail Alexichuk's recent partnership with the Fighting Nerds and his developments through that camp, I believe he's going to be able to bring those fruits to bear and knock Marc-Andre out in the first round, more than likely. And next up, in Hype Alert bias news, we have Julius Walker facing off against Dustin Jacoby. I am not going to hide my opinions on this at all, or my biases. I'm friends with Julius, and I am all in on him. He's winning TKO first round, all in on Black. Pivoting to a wrestling recap, let's talk about the Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble 26 was held in Riyadh, and consequently, you have all the girls coming out in Power Ranger outfits. Many women stood out in this Royal Rumble match. Sol Ruka and Lash Legend, most especially in my opinion. Lash Legend had a particularly dominant performance, eliminating 5 to 6 opponents and getting what can only be described as nuclear heat in the land of Saudi Arabia. Sol Ruka, on the other hand, impressed with her dynamism and high-flying acrobatics as always. Truly someone to watch out for as we move further into the year for professional wrestling. Sol Ruka's unique punk skater outfit is also worthy of note. The Women's Royal Rumble was ultimately won by Liv Morgan, a strong favorite by the IWC to win this match. I predicted Bianca to win. I thought she was coming back. I was wrong. Egg on my face. Following the Women's Rumble, we had the career-threatening match between Gunther and AJ Styles. In a very predictable but equally unsatisfying development, we have Gunther winning via choke against AJ Styles. AJ had, no pun intended, a phenomenal performance as he always does, being one of the most exciting in-ring performers that we've seen in quite some time. And it's deeply unfortunate to see him retired by the Chop Man. In easier to digest news, we have Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn for the world title. Drew McIntyre defeats Sami Zayn via pinfall in a great match. Drew and Sami have decent chemistry. They've worked together long enough that they're able to compose a really good match, and it was very entertaining. Drew McIntyre comes out on top against Sami Zayn despite the home field advantage. Last but not least, we have the Men's Rumble. The Men's Rumble began with Braun Breaker and Obafemi. Braun goes to make his entrance into the ring and is quickly blindsided by Triple H's favorite MacGuffin, a masked man. The early internet buzz says that it's probably Logan Paul, and by the looks of photos that we've seen and stills, I'm relatively sure that it probably is Logan Paul. Expect a disappointing swerve to be imminent. Oba then proceeds to eliminate the next 5 men that they bring out there in relatively short fashion. They're really putting Oba over strong, and that's good to see. Oba looks to be the future of the business and should be someone elevated to a Brock Lesnar level here very quickly. Fingers crossed. Ultimately, however, Roman Reigns, the God King, comes in and does what Roman Reigns does, and that's win matches. He wins the Royal Rumble, defeating Gunther, someone they brought in at entrant 29 or 30. Relatively late on for no good reason, blowing all the heat that he generated earlier that night by defeating AJ Styles. So the last lasting memory everyone has of him at this event is not the raucous boos that he received for beating AJ. It is the uproarious cheers of his body getting flung over the top rope by Roman Reigns. Great stuff. This win guarantees Roman Reigns a main event match at WrestleMania, and he has chosen that main event competitor to be CM Punk. In what seems to be an incredible turn of events, despite early lackadaisical responses from the audience, CM Punk versus Roman Reigns has quickly developed into one of the most anticipated matches of WrestleMania off the back of a single promo between these two men at Raw last Monday. Old guy still got it. What can I say? I'm going to take this moment to come back to my earlier segment from last episode of Put All the Belts Back on Roman. You all see? Everybody see it? With one single promo, Roman brought back the feeling. Wrestling ain't been that hot in a bit. And with one talking segment with CM Punk, they're probably already halfway sold out for WrestleMania. Just put all the belts back on Roman. Come on, you want it, I want it, we all want it. Just put the belts back on Roman. That's it for the Grounshark Show today. Be sure to like and subscribe and comment.